This month we had our big peptide launch. So now peptides are available directly to you guys. You can just go to peptual.com and you can open up a telemedicine conference with a licensed physician at no charge, and you can have peptides delivered right to your front door. My team put the link to that in the notes. If you're interested in peptides, I thought I would actually do at some point an entire live dedicated to nothing but peptides. I'm such a huge believer. I was down in Nashville this month for SproutsCon. There were thousands of people there. That's Sprouts big conference that they have once a year, and they bring in all their store managers, and it's open to the public. I actually met so many of you VIPs. That was amazing to just connect with a bunch of you guys. And then I spent a lot of time out in Colorado, and that's just where I feel my absolute best. Just reconnecting to my wife, to my kids, to Mother Nature, just rock walking in the woods, eating whole foods, just back to the basics. And guys, I just can't tell you how much I love these Q&As. I love connecting directly with you guys. It's where I get to connect. I hear your stories, your questions, and we really just keep building this journey together. I think that these Q&As is really where the rubber meets the road. I hope by now you've had a chance to dig into the optimization guides. These aren't just articles, guys. These are real functional approaches you can put to play in your own life. We've got the female and the male hormone guides in there. I just dropped the one on the menopause protocol. That was a big one. My wife and I actually just did a whole podcast on menopause, which will be out shortly. And we took a deep dive. I took Sage's actual test, her Dutch test, and we went over her Dutch test live. She was very transparent about it, all the symptoms that she was having, the brain fog, the emotional control issues, the sleep issues, and then how we solved it with exactly what hormone doses. Now, obviously, those are hormone doses for her. They're not applicable to the other women on this call, but really check out the menopause protocol, and so many more on the way as I continue to write them and get them into a format that I believe are digestible. We will package them and put them into guides, and we'll add them to the section. This week, we're rolling out module 4 of the 10 months Becoming the Ultimate Human course. And this one is all about hydration. So you've heard me say it 1,000 times. Hydration is the first thing that you do in the morning. Right after my oral health routine, I just hydrate and mineralize, and this sets the tone for the entire day. I like to actually drop my inflammation with hydrogen water. I'll use Perfect Amino, so I get all 9 of the essential amino acids, and then all 91 essential minerals just by adding salt to your drinking water. So dive in, start applying it, and let me know how it feels. I promise you, hydration done right can actually change the game for you. So a big welcome to all of our brand new VIPs, and a welcome back to all my OGs. I'm fired up to have all of you guys here. So just for those of you that are new, this is how these calls work. The first portion, I'm going to go through some pre-submitted questions that my team has cultivated down into the most commonly asked questions. The second half is all live, hands raised. We'll go in order and get to as many hands raised as we can. And today you'll see a 5-minute timer when you're called on. It gives you time to ask your question, but it also gives us an ability to just keep things moving so that more people get a chance. If I didn't thoroughly answer your question, you can connect with my team. I am hell-bent on answering all of your questions. I take several hours every day and try to address your questions. So please just be patient. We get lots and lots of these requests, but if you have a question that is a little bit more detailed or expansive, I will take the time to do my best to answer that question for you. And a quick reminder before we get started, everything I share today is for informational purposes only. I am not a medical professional. I cannot give medical advice. You do have to consult with your doctor or your healthcare provider if you make any changes to your health routine. Okay. Ready to get started? Let's go to the pre-submitted questions. I got a few of these today that are excellent questions. Nancy Rudolph says, I'm a 69-year-old female with hereditary pancreatitis and pancreatic cancer. Was diagnosed in 2022. I'm doing a functional approach, strict keto, ivermectin, fenbendazole, and vitamins. Ivermectin and fenbendazole are antiparasitics. Tumor markers are going down. That's great to hear, but I'm losing too much weight on keto. I'm unsure how to move forward with detoxing mold and metals. and what supplements and testing I need to do. What are the next steps you recommend? So first thing is, if you are doing a keto diet, you can slowly add up to 50 grams of carbohydrate per day. I would suggest that you add these 50 grams of carbohydrate in the form of what we would call slow carbohydrates. Those would be things like berries, sweet potatoes, things that do not, they are carbohydrates, but they do not raise your blood sugar quickly, like high glycemic carbohydrates do, like table sugars and what have you. Initially, you do drop a lot of weight on keto. A lot of that is stored creatinine that's in your muscles. It's not that you are losing muscle. It's that you are losing the stored creatinine in the spaces in your muscles. So it appears that you're shrinking. You do lose weight, but you cannot starve yourself to death on a keto diet. So stay the course. We may actually enter to some cyclical fasting. I wrote a guide on metals and mold detox, a very specific one. There's an 8-week and a 12-week guide for these. They're very detailed and they're available in, where is it? In the upper left-hand side under protocols. So if you go to the upper left-hand side under protocols, they're completely free. If you weren't a part of the detox challenge, I tell you exactly what tests to get, Vibrant Wellness Test. I tell you which gut binders to use, which metal detox binders to use, how to properly incorporate sauna and other detox ways, phase 1, phase 2 detox of the liver. We talk about hydration and the need for our kidneys to also be functioning. So it's all in those guides for you, Nancy. Anna Rocio Brown. I've been on thyroid medication for 26 years after radiation. Life and health are generally impacted. How critical would it be to stop meds and go with a natural approach? Okay, sometimes when you have a thyroidectomy or you have your thyroid gland has been irradiated, medication is a good choice because we always want to try to enhance function before we replace function. So if you're capable of producing your own thyroid hormone from the thyroid and then deiodinizing it and creating the thyroid hormone T3 in your liver and your gut and your periphery, that's always the best because no matter what anyone tells you, there is no better hormone than one the body produces on its own. Full stop. So when I engage or consult to hormone therapy patients, I will do everything that I can to raise their production of hormones naturally before we replace them. Yes, there is bioidentical hormone therapy that's available. It comes from yams. It is molecularly identical to our hormones, the way that it's structured. But I am still a staunch believer that if the body makes it, that is the best form. Now, if you can no longer make it, you probably want to consider something called an NDT, a natural dissected thyroid, or replacing the thyroid hormones themselves with something like Armour Thyroid or a natural dissected thyroid. Mimi Mary says, my husband has a PSA between 4 and 6 or 4 rising to 6. Anything natural to bring the numbers down? So in general, this isn't a specific medical recommendation, but in general, a rapid jump in PSA is not indicative of cancer. A rapid jump in PSA is usually indicative of something called prostatic hyperplasia or benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPA. It's usually indicative of an infection or other kind of irritant. Great ways to lower your PSA levels are to regularly consume hydrogen water. Do that first thing in the morning. You can take an 8 to 10 ounce glass of water, put 1 to 2 hydrogen tablets in there, and add a liquid turmeric and curcumin to that. You'll see that the water will turn a bright yellow. Wait until the hydrogen gas is fully dissolved. It takes about 50 seconds for those tablets to dissolve. While the glass is full of hydrogen gas, drink that gas down. It will not make you burp. It will not make you gassy. It will leave right through the walls of your arteries and veins and go right into the bloodstream and is excellent for inflammation and reducing PSA. I have Mimi Mary also said, I have Sjogren's, Hashimoto's, high blood pressure, hypothyroid, osteoarthritis, the MTHFR gene mutation. I have very poor sleep. I weak 2 hours after falling asleep. I have severe dryness, bloating, constipation after antibiotics for mold exposure. What is the best probiotic and or approach for all of this. If you haven't done the genetic test, I would recommend that you start there. Begin supplementing for deficiency, not just the sake of supplementing. Key nutrients are going to be B complex, methylfolate, the 5-MTHF, 5-methylfolate, or something called folinic acid are excellent for these. I have a very difficult time believing that you have multiple autoimmune issues. I believe you have one issue that is lighting the immune system up in multiple locations. It is very rare for a human being to have multiple independent autoimmune issues, meaning the immune system has decided to attack the colon. Now it's decided to attack the lacrimal gland in the eye. You have Sjogren's. Then it's randomly decided to attack the thyroid. You have Hashimoto's, or any number of other things. It's attacking the synovium of the joints, and you have rheumatoid. Generally what happens, and we talk a lot about this on these calls, is instead of everything failing at once, one thing goes wrong, like a domino, that causes everything. And the big four that I blame for this are mold mycotoxin, heavy metal, parasite, and virus. So unless your physician can tell you precisely what triggered each of these autoimmune conditions, which I'm certain that he or she can't, I would be on the search for the pathogen that's in your body that is causing the immune system to light up. Remember, I always use this example, and I'll use it again. If this was a mold spore, a mycotoxin, a heavy metal, parasite, virus, and this was a healthy cell, this compound would not hide like this. It hides like this. That is a very important distinction because the immune system is hypervigilant. And when it's trying to get to this, it will bust down the wall of this in order to get to this perpetrator. How does the immune system enter a cell wall? How does the immune system gain access to the interior without permission? It manufactures an antibody. And very often in thyroid, it is related to heavy metals. Very often in Crohn's, it's related to leaky gut, disruption of the single cell layer in your gut lining. Very often in Sjogren's, it is related to mold and mycotoxins. So there is a test, a Vibrant Wellness test. I would go to the free section that you have where you can download the mold and metal detox guide, and it will walk you through all of the testing, and it will walk you through exactly what to do when you get those results back. This whole concept, I'm working on, what am I working on now? Module 7 for you guys? Yeah. I'm working on module 7 for you guys. It's for each of you guys, becoming the ultimate human. And I was going through a lot of the research today, specifically for that section. Now, science is finally starting to catch up to the fact that pathogens, mold spores, mycotoxins, viruses, parasites, we have them and the immune system goes after them. And one of the greatest theories in aging right now is the theory of immunofatigue, a slow, progressive overwhelming of the immune system, meaning the immune system, which when we were very, very young, we were infantile, was maybe fighting on just a few fronts. As we got into our prepubescent years, it began to fight on more fronts. By the time we were adults, young adults, it was fighting on multiple fronts. By the time you're in your 50s or your 60s, it's fighting in a sphere, 360 degrees around. It's fighting mold and mycotoxins. It's fighting glyphosate and other inflammatory factors. You add stress to the bucket, poor sleep. And so eventually the immune system gets overwhelmed, can no longer keep up. This low-grade fight is called immunofatigue. And so everything that we can do to help our immune system in this fight, ozone, sweating, detox, whole food diets, movement to move our lymphatic system, getting regular good sleep, really focusing on our sleep. These are things that have real impacts on strengthening the immune system. There is also a peptide called thymosin alpha, which you can get at Peptual. You don't need a doctor. They will have a doctor prescribe it for you, called thymosin alpha, which is an amazing peptide to boost the immune system. If I were in an immunocompromised position, I would seriously think about taking thymosin alpha. Talk to the telemedicine doctor about that if you get a chance. Tyson Hanford said, I was diagnosed with pure autonomic failure. On Midrogen for blood pressure, AFib, depression, anxiety. I'm also on Zoloft. The genetic test shows slow COMT. Good catch there. I'm currently doing Morning Reset, 10x Optimized, Baja Gold, a whole food diet, and I'm looking for peptide supplement protocol recommendations to improve my quality of life. Great question. Tyson, I would actually go to that Pepsol site. I would open up the telemedicine conference that you get for free. I would describe those symptoms to the telemedicine doc, and I would get the peptides to address those. There are peptides to address anxiety called anti-anxiolytics. One of them is called Selank, if you want to look it up. Selank, Selank. That is a peptide to address high levels of anxiety. Anxiety, very specifically, is a rise in catecholamines, the fight or flight neurotransmitters that trigger the fight or flight response. Breaking down these catecholamines is critical. Magnesium is very good at this. Zinc is very good at this. And methylated multivitamins like you're taking from 10x Optimized. If you get a chance, Tyson, you can open up that telemedicine conference. If you decide not to proceed with peptides, there's no charge for that. And talk about the symptoms that you're having and the peptides that will address them. Remember, peptides are amino acid sequences, so they can do things like boost the immune system's ability to defend itself. They can actually lengthen our telomeres by improving the enzyme telomerase. Longer telomeres are correlated with extended life expectancy. They can help you build lean muscle and metabolize fat. So the growth hormone peptides, which are not growth hormone, they are peptides, amino acids that stimulate your own pituitary's natural secretion of growth hormone. This is fascinating because you're high on your own supply instead of taking something from outside the body and putting it in. So these help you with muscle hyperplasia, layering on lean muscle. They help you to mobilize and metabolize stubborn fat. A couple of my favorite fat burning peptides, if you want to put them in that category, are MOT-C, MOT-C, AOD-9604, and something called 5-amino 1MQ. Those are all peptides that are designed to mobilize and metabolize and accelerate fat loss and fat metabolism. They can even shift your body's priority to mobilizing and metabolizing fat. It's pretty astounding. I truly think that peptides will be as common as a multivitamin in 5 years. Sylvia Olivares says functional health tests confirm inflammation, homozygous MTHFR, that means both parents gave her that copy, osteoarthritis, lymphedema, night cramps. I'm on vitamin D. I hope that's vitamin D3 with K2. Omega-3s and magnesium. Where should I start with inflammation, cramping, and getting back on track? Okay, 3 places to start with inflammation and cramping. Number 1 is your diet. The most of us are eating a lot of pro-inflammatory foods. I want you to be hardcore about 2 things. Number 1, getting all of the seed oils out of your diet. These are rancid, pro-inflammatory compounds that actually oxidize before they go into your body, and they cause oxidation in the body like rust. If your C-reactive protein is high, it's likely coming from that. Remember, these are in your salad dressings. They're in everything. I just did a module that, again, you guys are getting for free. I showed you how to take things like whole fat Greek yogurt and make 5 different dips, 4 or 5 different dips, and 4 or 5 different breakfast items, all from the same base. Keeping simple whole food ingredients in your refrigerator and saying, okay, I've got a cup of whole fat Greek yogurt. I'm going to put some grain-free granola. I'm going to put a fistful of blueberries. I'm going to drizzle a tablespoon of honey on there. And I'm going to take coconut flakes, organic coconut flakes, and put it on the top for some crunch. Amazing. I made another one with cacao nibs, organic cacao nibs. No sugar. Using organic cacao and avocado to, blending avocado into a mousse, mixing it with raw cacao, adding a tablespoon or teaspoon, of organic monk fruit without erythritol or allulose, and then sprinkling that with coconut flakes. Unbelievable. It will be your new Ben and Jerry's. So I would also think about doing the genetic methylation test, and I would begin supplementing for deficiency. Inflammation that's trapped in the body is usually trapped because 4 things are happening. We are not having frequent enough bowel movements. We are not urinating frequently enough. We are not sweating frequently enough. and we are not eliminating waste at a cellular level. To eliminate cellular waste, you have to fix methylation. Since you are homozygous positive for NTHFR, assume you've taken that test, you may want to start experimenting with doubling up on your 800 micrograms of methylfolate. 800 micrograms in the morning, which you will get from Optimize if you're taking that. Let me see. Okay, it does not say you're taking Optimize. I would really recommend that you start taking the vitamin that I formulated called 10X Optimize, 2 in the morning and 1 at night. Karen Morley, best ways to what's your go-to protocol for immune support for children during flu season? How long do you continue after illness? Oh, that is a great one. Why do we have a flu season? Do you ever think about that? Why did your grandmother and your mom probably and your dad tell you, don't go outside, you'll catch a cold? You know, there's no such thing as catching a cold. In fact, it's much safer to go out in frigid weather than it is in hot weather, yet we don't get sick when it's hot and we do get sick when it's cold. There are significantly fewer pathogens outside in 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 degree weather than there are in 80 or 90 degree weather. So why do we catch a cold in the wintertime? We catch a cold in the wintertime because when it's cold outside, we layer up. When we layer up, we get less sun. When we get less sun, our vitamin D3 drops. And when our vitamin D3 drops, our immune system is compromised. So for children, absolutely taking zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D3 with K2. Now, the thing about vitamin D3 is you have to take it with a meal or you have to get an oil-based version. It comes in capsules. Make sure that it has K2. There's a really good one, no affiliation, from a company called Alkamind. They're the same ones that make my favorite coffee creamer. And it's a liquid oil version of vitamin D3 with K2, so you can actually take that one without food and you just squeeze it underneath your tongue. It actually tastes like lemon or like an orange, so your kids will like it. Absolutely keep their vitamin D3 up. And zinc and magnesium. Kids are very deficient in these light metals. Their nervous system is growing so fast that they're actually using a lot more of these healthy light metals like B12, zinc, magnesium, copper than we use per pound when we're an adult, when our nervous system is not growing at that rate. Bedwetting 9-year-old with frequent urination, protocols versus medical workup. So this is a little outside of my core competency. Bedwetting in 9-year-olds, as I understand it from pediatricians I have spoken to, is more psychological than it is physiological, because if they're not incontinent, then they actually have the capacity for continence. And usually it has something to do with the thoughts that are on their mind at night before bed, or having really disrupted circadian patterns. There is a pediatrician in LA, and I will give you the contact number for that pediatrician. He will do a consult. You could get a consult with this pediatrician, through Zoom, and he could certainly answer that question. I also did a podcast with him. Ingrid, my friend, 64, with benign prostate cyst, frequent urination, impotence after meds, on a waiting list for a hot steam procedure, overweight, drinks wine, is on well water. What's causing so many prostate urinary issues in men? Can natural lifestyle changes reverse, or are pill surgery needed? 3 things I would do in this case. If there's a benign prostatic cyst, these can take so many different forms. Sometimes they actually do remove these benign cysts because they are impinging. They're causing the prostate to impinge on the urethra and interrupting the flow. When you have pressure on the bladder or you have cystitis, you actually feel like you have to urinate more often than you do. So 3 things that help with this: hydrogen water definitely helps. Liquid turmeric and curcumin also help with this. And I would address the weight issue, and I would also address the wine. Instead of drinking wine, you can do things. There are lots of adaptogens and botanicals you can drink at night that have a very calming effect. There's several teas that are very, very good for the prostate. One of them is dandelion tea. It's also very good for the kidneys. You can order it in the whole leaf version, a dandelion tea. super inexpensive. A dry bag of that will not cost you a lot of money, and it will make you dozens and dozens of cups of tea. Get used to drinking tea and local honey at night. You can also mix that with fresh ginger. So just take ginger, dice it, throw it in a cup, take a scoop of that tea, put it in one of those metal tea strainers, put that in the cup, and take a teaspoon, not much more than a teaspoon, of local honey, and put that in the cup, pour hot water over it, and enjoy that before bed, about 45 minutes before bed. It not only has a calming effect similar to chamomile, but it also has an anti-inflammatory and a slight diuretic effect. So you urinate, you have a little bit of extra urination right before bed, so it allows the bladder to be completely voided before you go to sleep. Okay. And then Christina Halbor says a 5-year-old with vertigo, MTHFR red and others are yellow. Besides hydrogen baths, what else can parents do to slow down progression or remission? So vertigo is vertigo is tricky. Outside of a true diagnosis of something called Meniere's disease, which you probably would already know if your child had Meniere's, it's very often related, you may want to write this down, to inflammation in an area of the brain called the vestibular cortex. And the vestibular cortex is sort of like a mount that the brain is sort of sitting on. And this is an area of the brain where signals cross. And so information coming in from our stereoscopic vision will cross, hearing will cross, sensory information crosses. As you know, if you touch your left toe, you're feeling that in the right side of your brain. If you touch your right toe, you're feeling that in the left side of your brain. So this area is very highly prone to inflammation. So I would really be examining the diet. There is a diet called a FODMAP, FODMAP. You can download it online for free, a FODMAP diet. And what it does, it's an elimination diet that allows you to slowly start to add back foods. If you have the financial wherewithal, you can do an ALCAT test, ALCAT. This is one of the better food sensitivity tests. That one and something called a mediator release test, an MRT test. The reason why I like these tests, especially in children, is you will find the secret offenders that you might not be aware of. Everyone's methylation pathways are slightly different. And very often there are proteins or enzymes that run low-grade allergies in children that change over their lifetime, because as our gut microbiome changes, what we are allergic to or no longer allergic to can change. So you could have a sensitivity or an allergy as a child that you actually don't have as an adult. The ALCAT test, and it's I believe it's called the Total Detox. Or Master Detox, one of those two. It's the highest level of test that they do. They will test for everything from pharmaceutical compounds that your child is sensitive to food sensitivities, to food allergies, to common sensitivities and allergies to other household things that could be leading to this buried level of inflammation and throwing off balance. Okay. Where are we? Rebecca Sanford. I've struggled with constipation since I was in my teens and did a gut reset and supplements. I still have issues. Looking for next steps. So generally, when you have struggled that long with constipation, this is an intestinal motility issue. This is related to the pace of the gut. If you did the detox and you have also done the genetic test and you are supplementing for deficiency, which I hope you're doing, I would do those. If not, I would be looking at my genetic methylation pathways. You very likely have the gene mutation MTHFR. I would get all of the folic acid out of your diet. Those are fortified or enriched foods. These slow down our gut. They can paralyze the gut in people that have MTHFR that they got from both parents, because the folic acid builds up and causes a high level of inflammation. So I would be supplementing with methylfolate for sure. I would make certain that you are taking enough magnesium. And if supplementing with magnesium, methylfolate, and the vitamins that you're recommended after doing the gene test are not helping the motility, and you've completed uh, a detox, you've done the sauna and gut binders, and you've done everything you can to get the toxins out of your diet, that's when I would consider possibly doing the ALCAT test. And I would also make sure that you are on a good probiotic. There is a pre, pro, and postbiotic that you can take called BioComplete 3. Again, no affiliation. It was formulated by Dr. Gundry. He's a cardiac surgeon. I've also done a podcast with Dr. Gundry. If you want to dig that one up on the internet, it's a great podcast. Um, Pre, pro, and postbiotics are very helpful for intestinal motility issues that are not related to deficiency, that are related to gut microbiome. The gut microbiome is less often involved in motility issues. It's almost always a deficiency in methylfolate or a genetic mutation impairing the motility, which you can supplement for. But once you've done that, you definitely want to look at pre, pro, and postbiotic. The last thing I would say is incorporate more fermented vegetables in your diet, specifically fermented onions. These are onions not so that weren't marinated in sugar. They were marinated in vinegar. These are things like kimchi and cabbage, sauerkraut that is fermented. These foods are so good for you. If you don't like the taste, mix them with other things that are bland, like cauliflower rice or bland meats, and allow that crunch and that soury taste to actually be offset by the taste of things that are a little bit more basic, and you can get the fermented foods down. Usually you'll see an improvement in your gut microbiome after eating fermented foods for as little as 3 weeks. They have soluble and insoluble fiber. Remember, the insoluble fibers just moves through as bulk, and the soluble fiber becomes something called free fatty acids. And free fatty acids help reduce inflammation and restore the laxity to your intestinal tract. Okay, time to bring up some VIPs. Okay, this is my favorite part. If we didn't get to your pre-submitted question tonight, do not worry. I'm going to go through these with our administration, with my admin after the call, and she's going to DM you my answer directly. So check your DMs in the community. I will not leave you hanging. There were a few more names on here, but since your pre-submitted question got in, I promise you, I will not miss responding to you. Okay, there we go. Hi there, Lori. Thank you for saying that. You're muted, Lori. You're still muted, Lori. I think you've got to unmute. Bottom left-hand side.
Unmute.
There you are.
There we go. Okay. I'm so excited I got through. Okay, so I became a VIP. I was doing it like a month, once or twice a month, and then I decided to become a VIP like a month ago. But I had a couple of family emergencies, so I kind of have not done anything.
Okay.
I'm back home now, and I did send in for the total detox testing, and I literally
Great.
just got the package back like yesterday.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I had a couple of years ago, I see a functional doctor here. I'm outside of the Cleveland, Ohio area. And
Okay.
there's actually a functional doctor that I see that someone told me about. And I had metal testing done about 4 years ago, and it was high in lead and mercury. But it's interesting. And he wanted to have me do the chelation therapy, which
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do because it was so expensive and I kept putting it off. But now I don't even see that on here as high. I did have a lot of red in the mycotoxins and mold, like
Mm.
120, DMPT was 126.
Wow. Yep.
Um,
Probably aflatoxin A, ochratoxin, aflatoxin B.
yeah, the
Those usually travel
A,
together.
DON, DAS.
Yeah.
So I am going to, my question is then, I'm going to follow the mold
Yes.
detox protocol. And so I'll do that first. Now the metals were in the yellow color. So should I do
Mm-hmm.
that after? Do you think it's necessary if they're kind of like
So remember, if you did a urine test, like a Vibrant Wellness urine test for metals, that was the amount of metals that came out in that secretion of urine. There are a lot more metals that are trapped in the tissue. So your functional medicine doctor almost certainly could do what's called a provoked urine test. A provoked urine test, if you write that down, they'll know what that is.
I
A
might have
provoked
done
urine
that.
test. Yeah, okay. If you do a
Where I take
provoked
some
urine
tablet or something beforehand.
you can either take an oral tablet that has a chelating agent in it, or you can take they do it by IV. I've done it by IV and oral both. You do it by IV or orally, and then if you do it by IV, you do the IV and they give you the urine kit, and then the next morning, your first collection from sleeping all night, you urinate in a container and then you send that into the lab. The provoked urine test pulls the metals out of the blood, or sorry, out of the tissue and pulls them into the bloodstream so that they can actually be excreted. If that test is in the yellow or greens, you're fine. You're actually methylating metals fairly well. Remember, all of us can actually take in a certain number of heavy metals and we can methylate those out of the body, but we do it differently. Some of us are very good at methylating heavy metals, and some of us are very poor at methylating heavy metals. And so people that have poor heavy metal methylation end up with metal toxicity. So if you had high levels on one test and low levels on another test, and you really didn't do any kind of detox protocol in between, provoked urine test is the way to be certain of what metals are in your tissues.
Okay, so then for the mold, then the collation is just for metals or is that for mold too?
No, chelation is for metals.
Okay.
My preference is to do chelation orally because there's one called Chetox you take in the morning and you take in the evening. There's an AM and PM. For mold, we want to use things like gut binders, sweating, regular bowel movements, hydration with mineral salts, and take things like black seed oil, which is highly toxic to not to humans, but to mycotoxins. Also, when I spoke this past week at the annual chiropractic convention in Orlando, and there were several functional chiropractors there, very, very smart humans. And I asked them to come on. I don't know if they're on today or not, but I asked them to come on to the VIP today. And if they have a specific expertise in one of the areas where there are questions coming in, if they would just notify everyone into the chat and do at least an initial free consult on that specific issue. So if you follow my mold detox guide,
Mhm.
which is free for you guys, you can
Right.
download that. You'll see your mycotoxin, ochratoxin A, aflatoxins. You'll see those go to zero.
Okay, because I was going to do that. And my question then was, because it says there's a few items that you have to take. Because I take about 10 or 12 because I have the
Hmm.
MTHFR, and so I take a methylated vitamin.
Hmm.
Um, instead of the methylated vitamin that I take, should I take this 10X one instead?
Well, I mean, if you feel good on the methylated multivitamin, the 10X one is one I formulated. It's called Optimize. But there are lots of great methylated multivitamins out there, not just mine. Mine is an excellent one if you have several yellows and one or two reds, meaning in that methylation chart. But if you're doing well on your current methylated multivitamin, stay on that. If you're not on a methylated multivitamin, that's a great one to start with.
Okay, and then I still take all my other vitamins, I'm
You
assuming.
still take all of your other vitamins. I'm really specific in the mold detox guide of what you add to your, if you haven't read it yet, of what
I
you
looked it
add to
over
your.
quickly. And so then that's another question because it has recipes and shopping lists.
Mhm.
Is there any way I can't figure out how to print it
Oh, can they print it?
because I want to
Oh,
keep
you
going to my
you could
laptop.
screenshot it. Yeah, and sadly, I'm really trying to keep this content for the VIPs, and what had begun happening before was people would post it and throw it on the internet, and they would put these courses that I really developed for VIPs. They would just make it available on the internet. But yes, you could screenshot it, and do it that way. I don't. Yeah, my team said you can't print it directly from the site.
Okay. Okay.
Screenshot it and then print it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you
Tell
so
you
much.
how to hack my own system. Um, all right, awesome.
Thank you.
Great talking to you. Thank you for becoming a VIP. Oh, we have a 5-minute timer for all of these. So the team's going to give you the hatchet at 5 minutes. But if I don't finish answering your question, I promise you I will take a note and make sure that I finish it. Hi there. Hi,
Hi,
Daniela.
I'm, I'm so excited to talk with you. I love you really. You are my last stop. Otherwise, I don't know what to do anymore in my life. I have a problem with my phone. I cannot
Yeah,
hear.
it sounds like you're on two different places. Yeah.
I put it away.
She just left.
No, I'm come back. I come back.
Okay, you're back and there's no echo.
Okay, I try to do fast. I have a lot of things because it started when I was a child. Like you said, sometimes I was the one of many tonsillitis with the streptococcus.
Mm.
And can you hear this?
Yes. Yeah, there's an echo. Maybe you could turn
Yeah.
the volume down. I think it's picking up your speakers. So if you turn the
Okay,
volume
sorry.
down. And there she goes again.
Try to put my phone very far. Maybe it's better. Okay.
Yes.
So I had a lot of tonsillitis, and then they removed my adenoid, but still
Mm.
I had a lot of antibiotic. Okay, maybe should I turn off my phone because I have computer and phone
Yes.
together.
Why don't you log back in on your phone and then my team will bring you back up on the stage. But
Okay,
I
I
do want to
turn off
address,
my phone.
yeah.
If I lose you, what should I do?
My team will bring you back up on the stage. When you log in, they'll look for you and they'll bring you back up on stage.
Okay, I'll try. Just a
Yeah.
moment. I just turn off my phone.
Okay. So you can log off on the computer and log on the phone. Guys, while
That's
she's
why.
gone,
That's why.
I want to address one thing that she said in the beginning, and this is super, super important. So if you are a parent and yeah, oh, can you, thank you. So we muted her. If you're a parent and you're listening to this, this may be the most important thing that I say this whole VIP call. If you have a child that has recurrent sore throats, they get repeated sore throat infections, like repeated streptococcal infections, um, there is a virtual certainty that they have mold because mold has an affinity for the adenoids. And mold is cyclical. Remember, it sporulates and then it goes dormant, and it sporulates and it goes dormant. For centuries, mold and bacteria have been in a deadly war, right? Think penicillin as an antibiotic and what it does to bacteria. So when mold flares, you get these massive strep infections. You get inflammation, you get soreness, you get spottiness on your adenoids. And they're like, well, let's just take the adenoids out. That's not the best way to get rid of mold. The best way to get rid of mold is to do a mold detox. And so if you have a child that is suffering from recurrent sore throat infections, please write that down. There is a virtual certainty. I would almost bet my entire career that the child has a bad mold or mycotoxin infection. Okay, let's try it one more time, Daniela. Okay, they're going to unmute you.
Okay.
Okay, how's that? Can you
Ci
hear me?
sono, ma non ti sento più. Ah, sorry. I am here, but I can't hear you anymore.
Okay, we're going to bring you back up on stage in a few minutes. They're going to message you and bring you back up on stage when we get the audio worked out. Okay, sorry, I hate cutting her off. Diana. Oh my God, you're on a walking treadmill. I remember you last time.
I'm the Naples one.
Yeah, the Naples one. Hi, Diana.
Hi, good to see you again. I just had a couple questions. So good news. I moved from Idaho to Naples. Love it. Vitamin D, I just got my results back this morning. I went up to 80 from
Yes, that's great.
40, so it works.
It does work.
Yeah.
I'm
One of
happy
the
to hear.
things on the protocol for the new menopause.
Mhm.
So there was something on there that said that you're a higher risk if you take estrogen for blood clots, which I am protein S deficient, but not factor V related. So,
Okay.
but I understood that if you did the transdermal patches, that it didn't up your risk of blood clot. It was more the oral because it didn't pass through the liver.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
exactly correct. So if you do sublingual or transdermal through the skin, sublingual under the tongue, what's called an RDT, a rapid dissolve tablet, then you're skipping that part of first pass metabolism, which is, liver cleavage. You're exactly right.
Okay. I guess I misunderstood it when I was reading through the protocol.
Hmm.
So another question too, I also got my other blood test back, which was cholesterol was a little high on the LDL, and then the total cholesterol was also, so it was LDL was 111, total was 210. And I understood from just reading that it's usually the arteries are getting damaged because of the inflammation, not because of the cholesterol.
That's very true. Where's your triglyceride?
Um, I don't, triglycerides
Is it
were,
below 100?
they were in the good range. I know that.
Okay, so great. So really quick, on cholesterol, because I think cholesterol is one of the most misunderstood and maligned compounds in the human body. I'm not talking about lipo little a or lipo B, but LDL cholesterol as a standalone risk factor is not a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. I know
Right.
that flies in the face of all conventional modern medical thinking. I did two podcasts with Dr. Asim Malhotra, one of the most published cardiologists in the world, mainly in the British Medical Journal. He's now with Health and Human Services. That would be a great podcast for you to watch, but just
I've
very.
listened to that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have. So
And
you
my
should feel very
triglycerides are
good.
42, by the way.
Yeah, you feel very good about your cholesterol levels then. Remember, cholesterol is like a tennis ball. The fuzzy yellow surface on cholesterol is a triglyceride. Triglyceride is transported around the blood on the surface of cholesterol. If you remember from high school geometry, that as the size of a sphere gets smaller, its surface area to volume ratio goes up. What that means is if I had two basketballs of cholesterol that were covered in triglyceride, if I added more triglyceride to the bloodstream, those two basketballs become 4 softballs. They become 8 baseballs. They become 16 golf balls. They
I
become
remember that.
32 little BBs. We shrink the size of cholesterol as we raise the amount of triglyceride. This small particulate cholesterol is very dangerous. Large
Right.
puffy balls of cholesterol are very safe. So that's why we want to keep an eye on our triglyceride, not so much on our cholesterol. The triglyceride to cholesterol ratio is important. So the liver makes cholesterol. Why would the liver be making compounds that are increasing the risk of cardiovascular disease? 85% of all the cholesterol in your bloodstream is made by your liver. It does not come from your diet. And so I would not be managing cholesterol through diet for sure. I would be managing cholesterol by managing my intake of high glycemic sugars.
Okay. All right. And then the other thing was to be a cheerleader for these peptides. I have been diagnosed with Hashimoto's and all kinds of inflammation stuff. So as of this morning, with getting my test back, and we have done the BBC 157, the TB 500, the AOD 9604, MOTS-C, GHKC, View, I mean, all of it, the basic.
That's awesome.
All of it. And I have no evidence of thyroid, of Hashimoto's, of any of it. So I'll be the.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
because it's so inspiring when people that are diagnosed with a permanent thyroid condition, like like Hashimoto's, right? You now think you have a lifetime autoimmune disease. There's nothing you can do, and so you have a lifetime of medication. That
Yeah.
is an amazing testimonial.
So I'll be the cheerleader for that.
Yeah, and you are not a paid spokesman. Can we confirm
No,
that I
no,
haven't
not
paid?
at all.
You actually pay me $97 a month. So.
I should. My husband just walked in. He calls you the other man because I'm always quoting Gary Brecka and the guru.
I just made my whole day, dude. You know, it's just amazing. It's science and it's human physiology, and the body can heal itself. And The fact that you use peptides, and I am such a
Yes.
fan of
And
peptides. In
of
fact,
course,
I
whole foods, working out. The peptides don't work unless you're building your muscle, unless you're eating the right foods, because they literally are a waste of money. So what we have found is just the working out, the whole foods. I mean, almost nothing processed, 3 ingredients max. But my last question was the DHEA.
Mhm.
Would you suggest liposomal? Would you suggest the micronized as far as oral?
No, DHEA is very well tolerated through first pass metabolism. So you don't need to take it in a liposomal form. You can take it in a capsule form. You can also take it in liposomal, but you can take it in a capsule form. DHEA should be inexpensive, like a Thorne, a Pure Encapsulations, DHEA. I would start with the lower doses, 10 milligram, work my way up to 25 milligram, and then just keep an eye on your level. DHEA is dihydroepiandrosterone, which it's a mouthful. It is a precursor for a lot of the hormones that we make in the body. And one of the common themes that I always harp on, especially with women, is that you can get deficient in the nutrient that hormones are made from, leading to hormone imbalance. Not because you don't have the right hormones or the capacity to make hormones, but because you don't have the raw material that they're built from. And so
Right.
DHEA is a great one. But the caution with DHEA is doing too much too fast, because it can activate sebaceous glands in especially in your face, and you can get adult acne. It goes right away, but if you really want to piss a woman off, just give her adult acne.
Exactly. Use peptides for that too.
Yeah, they have peptides for that too, right?
So again,
Okay.
thank you. My 5 minutes are now up. So
You're amazing. Thank you for your testimonial. That's so awesome. I love those.
yeah, she's up. Leon,
Leon.
I'm ready now.
Hey, buddy. Leon. There you are. Yeah, okay. You're unmuted.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I think I have a fairly simple question, but maybe
Okay.
it's a little nuancer, and others have a similar question. So, I'm trying to just to really be in the the breathing thing first thing in the morning.
Mhm.
I've watched different videos of you, or and maybe I'm confusing myself because I've seen you do these very obnoxious breaths, 30 of them, hold, and so forth. But then I've also seen you do some other things, or I've seen you box
Yeah.
breathing. I've also heard, I know you're buddies with Paul Saladino, and he made a passing remark, I think it was on one of your podcasts, that he's actually not a fan of this obnoxious breathing business, and
Yep.
it's partial hyperventilation, but it wasn't expounded upon. So I thought the
Yeah.
next
So
time I get
let's
an
be
opportunity-
super specific. Okay. So where do you start with breath work? So you start with breath work with 3 rounds of 5 breaths, with a breath hold in between. I'll be very specific. What we're trying to do is 3 things. Number one, we're trying to get air into our lungs. But secondly, I'm trying to exercise the intercostals, the auxiliary muscles of respiration that atrophy as we age. So the easiest place to start is through, if you don't have any issues with congestion with your nose, if you do, just breathe through your mouth. The idea is to get the air in, not the mechanism of how you get it. I would prefer that you start with 3 rounds of 5 deep breaths through the nose. They just look like this. Obnoxiously deep breaths. I want to expand the rib cage, expand the diaphragm. I want to use the auxiliary muscles of respiration, get the air down into the lobes of the lungs and not out of the apex of the lungs. And then at the end of the 5th breath, exhale and hold as long as you can. And the reason why you do this is you want the carbon dioxide to build up in your bloodstream. Carbon dioxide is the main vasodilator in the human body, not nitric oxide. Nitric oxide a lot of times can be a caustic gas. So the reason why you get vascular during exercise is because of the CO2 going back to the lung. So after you do those 5 breaths, just sit calmly and hold your breath as long as you can. If you're outside in the sunlight, just do some horizon gazing. And when you can't hold your breath anymore, you take another deep breath in. You hold that one as long as you can. You exhale. And you start again. Eventually, you can work yourself up to 3 rounds of 30 breaths. I rarely do 3 rounds of 30 breaths on social media or anything like that because it takes a while to get to that point, and you can get really lightheaded by doing it if you're not used to doing breath work. 3 rounds of 5 breaths with a breath hold in between. The one that I commonly use just on the road is in situations. For example, every time right before I step on a stage, if I have thousands of people in an audience, even though I've done hundreds and hundreds of stage talks, you still get a little bit of butterflies, like right before a stage talk or right before a big event. You might get them before a big meeting with your, with your manager, your boss. You might get it before a big conversation you're about to have with your spouse or your kids. Lots of reasons why we get the butterflies. Butterflies are elevated catecholamines. They lead to anxiousness. They lead to anxiety. The most well-studied form of breath work, which is used by all of our special forces, is a form of breath work called box breathing, and it's very easy. If you have OCD with my wife, like my wife, she gets so focused on whether or not she got all four perfect, but don't worry about it being perfect. It is a 4-second inhale, followed by a 4-second hold, followed by a 4-second exhale, followed by a 4-second hold. This is specifically designed to drop catecholamines. And I can already feel, wait, I just went, it's frozen. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I can already feel relaxed just from that. So like instantly the butterflies are gone. I think my screen is frozen and I hope that everything else is not frozen. Did that help? So box breathing for situations, but start your breathing journey with 5 or 3 rounds of 5 deep breaths with a breath hold in between.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the clarification.
Amazing. See how that's frozen? That's okay. Okay, guys, who's next up? Just we'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, unmute. All right, there we go. We had some technical difficulties there. I don't know what that was all about. Oh, we're back. All right, Daniela, you're back.
Finally.
Okay.
Okay, so I try to do fast. I had a lot of antibiotic. My adenoid detect off, but a lot of antibiotic all my childhood. I had at around 19 some symptoms of reflux, so the doctor prescribed to me a lot of gastroprotector that I think lower a lot of my pH, gastrostomach pH. That's maybe because I have many things now I tell you in a list of things I have. So recently I've done GI 360 stool test that shows dysbiosis, Dienta moeba fragilis, and trace of blood, but I'm not worried about it because in 2020 I had a test, stool test. I had the blood, so I did the gastroscopy and coloscopy, and they found was everything fine apart my reflux, but it's not so bad. And I had a recurrent after coloscopy, maybe for what I drink for clean everything, I had so recurrent UTI. And also probably because my pH, I have low iron, low ferritin.
Okay.
And so I last year I've done the iron infusion with one iron from low to very high, and I start to have like a rheumatism pain on my finger, on my hips, and then I test for ESR was really high, 97. RC was fine. So I listened about all your thing, and I took 2 grams of omega-3, and after 1 month, then from 97 was 3. So thank you for that. And
Yes,
also,
you're welcome.
and also I had omega-6 high. I cannot check the ratio between the 3 and high 6 because in Australia they don't do it. Now I am in Italy. That's why I can be online live with you, because there it's always very like 3 o'clock in the night, so it's not so easy. But I think I'm gonna see you in Sydney at the end of September, because I already booked the ticket. But anyway, my problem is all this problem. I don't drink, no smoke, no drugs, neither legal or illegal. But anyway, and I made my own food from scratch, everything, like I'm very good. And I used all the things you said, and always I know, because I really curious about food and nutrition. And I've done 3 months with no dairy, no flour, no processed food. But I never had a McDonald's sandwich. I'm so proud. And it's never I had no fruit, no sugar, nothing. But my Dientenoma fragilis parasite is still there.
Yes.
I don't know what to do, and always I have some food now in Italy because it's not possible, don't have a pizza and all the stuff. So I often vomiting, feel bad. However, your bread exercise helped me to very a lot to relax and don't feel worse when I feel that way. Also, I use rebounding, but still I don't know without antibiotic how to kill my parasite and adjust my dysbiosis, and maybe the recurrent UTI are connected with dysbiosis.
Yes.
So I don't know what to do. Also, I am in perimenopause from January. So yeah, many things together. I'm really struggling.
I'm gonna turn the sound down because it's reverberating. Okay, so let's start. Let's go all the way back and start at the beginning, because this is a classic example of one thing goes wrong that causes everything, right? And not multiple things going wrong. So the first challenge was you almost certainly had a mold exposure, and you had mold as a child. They removed your adenoids. Once you remove the adenoids, you've taken away one of the first lines of defense in the immune system. Then you get recurrent infections, so they start you on repeated antibiotics. Repeated antibiotics wipe out your gut flora, which has the unintended consequence of decreasing your ability for the immune system to defend itself. In addition to that, the gut flora wasn't able to make a comeback because you're on antacids or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux. Acid reflux is usually a lack of acid, not too much acid, right? We know that the pH in the stomach is very, very low. It's about 3.5, should be about 3.5, which is like battery acid. And it's intentionally that low. And that the muscles that actually close off the esophagus and protect the esophagus from stomach acid actually strengthen when the stomach acid is the right concentration. They relax when the stomach acid gets too alkaline. So what do? You take antacids that make it more alkaline. So you're actually worsening the acid reflux. You just don't know it because you've made the acid so basic that the acid that's going up into your esophagus you no longer feel. And then once you've wiped out the gut flora, you have what you refer to as dysbiosis, very true. And then you have compromised immune system. Once you have a compromised immune system, you start to have diffuse focal joint pain. And so there's a sequence of events that makes a lot of sense to me. And so we're going to sort of start here and work our way through it. And this is probably good for a lot of people that are listening to this. Number one, we've got to restore the flora in your intestine. We have to restore the normal bacteria. Parasites are not usually affected at all by antibiotics. So you don't want to use a antibiotic. You want to use an anti-parasitic. So I'm going to give you some. I don't know if you can get them in Italy or if you can get them in Australia. If you can't, then you can look at the ingredients on the back and find another brand name where you can get it. A combination of ivermectin and something called fenbendazole, which are antiparasitics, antivirals, is a great gentle way to start a parasitic detox. I've used one called Parapurge by Free Range. I've heard mixed things from people about their delivery. I have not heard mixed things about its effectiveness. It's the one that I use. I'm, again, no affiliation to them. I actually am going to start to compound my own parasitics because I'm starting to realize you can't trust the concentration in a lot of these, but I have used this one successfully in the past. I would begin an anti-parasitic protocol. So I would begin a fenbendazole, ivermectin, not for more than 10 days, then taking 10 days off, and then doing 10 days on again, and that's it. The second thing that I would do is I would start taking something called betaine HCl, which stands for hydrochloride. Betaine HCl, you can get it from Thorne, to help restore the natural level of acid in the stomach. And so that the acid becomes more concentrated and the sphincter muscle at the top of the stomach, called the cardiac sphincter, can contract more tightly. And then after I started betaine hydrochloride, and I had, when I was complete with the anti-parasitic protocol, I would start taking digestive enzymes with every meal. Because until we restore the intestinal flora, we want to do as much as we can to make macronutrients, micronutrients before they are handed into the intestinal tract. I've used Body Health digestive enzymes. There are lots of great digestive enzymes out there. I like it because they are fermented digestive enzymes. They have a tendency not to upset the stomach at all. They make it much easier for you to control gas and bloating, constipation, and they will not ferment things into compounds that actually cause a proliferation of bad bacteria. So start with the ivermectin fenbendazole detox for parasites. Then begin to take betaine hydrochloride, HCl, to restore the natural acidity to the stomach. With every meal, take digestive enzymes. You take these, what's called mid-meal. You start to eat, take the enzymes, and you just continue eating. It sounds like you're already on a whole food diet, so this will just help even more. I would do this for 8 to 10 weeks. At the end of 8 to 10 weeks, I would begin to start taking a powerful probiotic. I wouldn't start it earlier than that. I would try Dr. Gondry's BioComplete 3, and I would start to repopulate the pre, pro, and postbiotic flora in your intestinal tract. I think what you'll find is if you repair things in that order, detoxify, restore the natural acid balance, give assistance to digestion with digestive enzymes, and then repopulate your gut flora, you could erase possibly decades of, I don't want to say poor decisions on your part, but a poorly managed treatment course. Nothing you can do to get the adenoids back. I would also consider taking the peptide thymosin alpha. Thymosin alpha is an immune boosting peptide I talked about earlier in the call. It's an amazing peptide. You can take it sublingually. You can also take it by subcutaneous injection. Tremendous results in immunocompromised individuals, and nearly everyone with gut dysbiosis is immunocompromised, meaning the immune system is a little weaker than it should be. It's a little less efficient than it should be. And what we don't want to have happen is this prolonged immune system weakness and this prolonged low-grade chronic inflammation start to manifest itself as multiple autoimmune issues. If we keep the immune system healthy, it rarely will flip over and start an autoimmune issue. Gut dysbiosis becomes diverticulitis or ulcerative colitis. Ulcerative colitis and diverticulitis eventually light up the immune system and become Crohn's. And now, you're just continuing to walk down the road.
I feel that way. Sorry.
Yeah. So I hope that you got that sequence of events down. If not, are these recorded?
Yeah, if somebody can write me down, it would be amazing.
Yes.
And,
we'll send you the recorded clip of this section so you can have it back, Danielle. And I want to hear back from you. What's amazing is when I have VIPs come up and ask questions like you are, and then we talk about things you can do, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks later, you come on and tell me, I have no more Hashimoto's. I'm not. I don't have.
For sure. I know that it's gonna be okay. The last question is, if I have time, is the hormonal problem, because now I don't want to take the hormonal substitute therapy. Because I am afraid for cancer, breast stuff, and do you think that I should? Because I have my grandmother and my aunt with the breast cancer, so I don't know if I could be.
Let me address that specifically. The big hormone study that lit the world on fire and stopped women from taking hormone therapy was a study done on supplementing with estrogen alone. That same study was redone over a period of 12 years. Same study profile, exact same study. In fact, I talk about this specific study. Do you know when the podcast with Sage and I is going to come out? Probably about within the next few weeks. Okay, in the next few weeks, my wife and I sat down and did a podcast because my wife is going through menopause and managing her symptoms, and I was like, what better testimonial than to just sit down and talk about exactly what you were facing, because so many women are facing this, and exactly what we did, right down to the prescription bottles. And so she did something called a Dutch test, which I believe that you can get in Italy or Australia. It's a 24-hour urine test. Before you start hormone therapy, if you are menopausal as a female, before you start hormone therapy, do not base your hormone therapy on a blood test. Base it on a 24-hour urine test. The reason is you want to see how these hormones cycle throughout the day. You actually want to see the ratio of hormones throughout the day. So we show the test, we show exactly the results, and we show exactly the treatment. Now, while you might not have the same results in treatment, you will have the same profile to go through. And I even talked to you about how to read that test. I put the test up on the podcast and everything. I'm really excited for that to get released. So the long and short of it was I specifically addressed the study that frightened the world about females taking hormones. There is a reduction in breast cancer risk and incidence of breast cancer with hormone therapy done right. What we don't do is rifle shot hormones into the female body. When we replace hormones, we replace all of the hormones and we replace them in the same ratio. So E1, E2, E3, estrogen, progesterone, pregnenolone, DHEA. We replace that entire cascade because as soon as you put hormones into the human body, you take the production to zero. I always, use a trick question when I talk to functional medicine doctors, and I say, let's say you have two men, one with a testosterone of 200, one with a testosterone of 600, and you're going to put them on hormone therapy. Who gets more testosterone? And the answer is they get exactly the same amount. Because as soon as you put testosterone into the body, both men are going to zero, right? Both of their production. That's why it's called hormone replacement therapy, because as soon as you put these in, you take the level to zero. So a guy at 200 and a guy at 800 both get 200 milligrams of testosterone weekly. And why? Because as soon as we put it in, they're both going to the same production level. So hormones in the body are not cumulative when you replace them. As soon as you replace them, you are suppressing the production. So you need to replace them in their entirety, and you need to replace them in the right ratio. How do you get the ratio? You get it from a Dutch test. So it shows you the whole progression of the hormones. Pregnenolone, which is made from cholesterol, pregnenolone, how it becomes aldosterone, how it becomes cortisol, how it becomes testosterone. So if you don't replace pregnenolone, that entire cascade is broken. If you don't replace E1, E2, and E3, then you are not replacing the full profile of estrogen in a woman. There's no such thing as estrogen. There are different estrogens, right? Some are more prevalent during pregnancy, some are more prevalent during your menstrual cycle, and some are more prevalent postmenopausal. So if you want to avoid the symptoms of menopause, decrease your risk of breast cancer, and get all the benefits of hormone therapy, you replace the entire cascade. And I go deep down the rabbit hole in that podcast.
Oh, I will do tomorrow, but who gonna? I lost a little bit of, trust to doctor. I don't know where should I do this?
I could recommend a good one in the U.S. or in London. I don't happen to know any in Australia or Italy.
Okay, maybe they do some.
Someone that knows how to interpret a Dutch test should know what they're doing.
Okay, so the Dutch test, and okay, thank you so much, Gary, for everything you do. You are an amazing person. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have a little under 15 minutes left, so let's try to get to at least 3 questions, and maybe I'll extend it a few minutes because we had a power outage or whatever we had. Hey there.
Hey, Gary, how are you doing?
Hey, Gary.
Amazing. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic. First of all, it's 2 a.m. here in Dubai. We just wanted to say thank you, and to you, not just to you, but the team as well. You guys are doing God's work here. Incredible knowledge that was never available before these past few years, and you guys are making it available to everyone. So thank you so much.
I'll be in Dubai almost the whole month of November.
We'll be here waiting.
We will see you, definitely.
Yeah. So we'll connect with my team. His Highness and I, I'm the largest sponsor of the 30-30, 30 days of exercise every day for 30 days. I'm running the race with Sheikh Hamdan on the 23rd, 24th. So I'm training for it now because he's in great shape. Yeah.
Well,
my son's going to try to break his record scaling the Burj Khalifa. But I'll be there for 30 days. I have a huge activation on the beach, and I'm launching gene testing and supplements there, and I'd love to meet you guys.
Would love to meet you as well. That's great news. Now, I don't want to take anybody's time, so I'm just going to get right to it. This is regarding our mother. She's 63 years old, and just last week, she was diagnosed with something called bilateral papillary thyroid carcinoma. Mm-hmm. And luckily, the nodules are smaller than 1 centimeter. So from what I understand, they're relatively small compared to how big they can get. And they're slow growing. But the thing is, the moment the nurse figured this out, she scared my mother. She was all, she was fearful. So she scared my mom. But then when we saw the doctors after the tests were done, the doctors were a lot more relaxed. But the response is always just get rid of the thyroid. There is no other solution that we're getting. There's no other answers. It's just get rid of the entire organ because that's the safest way. Now, we've heard not just on this call right before us with Daniela, but we've heard so many cases, seen so many cases of people talking about ivermectin, fenbendazole, menbendazole, peptides, and also fasting that could potentially help reduce or shrink the size of the nodules. Now, before we go ahead and remove the organ, We just wanted to ask if there's anything we should consider, at least try it for the next 1 to 2 months, 3 months, and then do another test before we consider getting rid of an organ.
Yes, so you're right about all of those things. They are usually very slow growing. They have a very, very, very low rate of metastasis, almost like prostate cancer does. Very, very low metastasis rate. So there are 4 big things that you can do for these types of nodules. One is it's really important for her to activate her natural detox pathways. And if your mom's not able to exercise much, obviously walking is a great way for her to move her lymph. Dry sauna is an absolute must. The second thing is I would try to get her a test that is equivalent to a Vibrant Wellness test to find out what kind of mold, mycotoxins, heavy metals that she might have in her system, and then addressing mold, mycotoxins, or heavy metals. And I've written guides in the VIP group that you guys can download. So first, getting detoxification active, making sure she's hydrating, making sure she's having regular bowel movements, making sure that she is moving regularly, even if it's as simple as just walking. Sweat is an excellent, excellent way, even for deconditioned people, to actually begin to activate their detox pathways. Then isolating whether or not it's a metal, a mold spore, a mycotoxin, exactly what it is. And I completely agree with you. Doing a parasite detox with like a parapurge by free range, 10 days on, 10 days off, 10 days on again. And then right before she does her test, 5 to 7 days out, really try to get, is she very frail or does she have some meat on her?
She follows your protocols as well. She works out all the time.
Love her.
I mean, we force her to. So
So 5 to 7 days out from her test, it'd be really good. You guys should do this with her. Do a 3-day water fast.
Yes.
Mineral salts and just spring water. The day prior, she can do a bone broth at noon, a bone broth at 6 p.m., wake up the next day and start a water fast. Keep her distracted. Find some fun things to do. She will survive the water fast. I promise you. Actually, I have a water fast when? October what? 15, October 15, 16, 17. I'm doing a 3-day water fast, with everybody, and it's totally free. And I will walk everyone through the details. Maybe your mom will get some encouragement from that because I'll be on for 3 hours every single day, kind of helping people walk through it. It's getting through that first 24 hours that's tough. She can have black coffee. She can have all the teas that she wants. She can have mineral salt. She can have spring water, and she can move. There are also some tinctures I'm going to tell you guys about that actually fight hunger and fight the these urges to eat. And that's exactly where I would start. I don't know what the equivalent is. I am opening a longevity clinic there in Q1 of next year. It's actually physically under construction right now, right up the street from the Mandarin Oriental in Jumeirah on the beach. And I have a big activation on that beach. So, but man, I would first of all love to meet you, but I would also follow that protocol as she leads into, over the next few weeks. Nothing drastic is going to happen that would force her into surgery. They can also do lumpectomies rather than a full removal of the thyroid. So finding a surgeon that's willing to do a lumpectomy and rather than remove the entire gland, if it were my mother, that's where I would start. And if, for whatever reason, she makes the decision to have the thyroid removed, it's not the end of the earth. You can put her on natural dissected thyroids, keep her energy level normal. What is going to be critically important for her, likely from what I guess her age to be, is that she is very likely not just going to be on thyroid hormone, but will probably get on a full suite of hormones, because the thyroid is not only controlling your metabolism, but it's controlling your body temperature. It's controlling the hormonal cycle. It's doing so many different things. So hormonal dysregulation after a thyroidectomy is very common, and you can avoid that with good bioidentical hormone therapy. So even if that ends up being the end point, it's not the end of the earth.
Thank you so much for that. I'll have a very
Great.
quick question. I don't think it needs a long
Yeah.
answer. Just
Shoot.
for the antiparasitic drugs, the 10 days on, 10 days off, is there any protocol that we can follow on the website for the amount that she should be taking?
Yeah, she takes 3 capsules
Right.
once a day for 10 days, then none for 10 days, then 3 capsules once a day for 10 days. And all 3 capsules are taken at the same time.
Okay.
So the
Perfect.
dosage is 3 capsules. On the back of the bottle, it will say serving size 3 capsules. So it will remind you on the back of the bottle.
And by the time we get the capsules, can we do the water fast first by the time we get, or that has to be done after?
No, you can. I would do. You can do the water fast first.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How often
Yeah.
we can do the water fast actually? Like how often? How many times?
Every 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
You can safely do a water fast. I mean, you can do it more frequently, but it's just not necessary. I mean, you get, the amount of, the amount of detoxification that you get, but also the activation of things like youthful levels of growth hormone. Her immune system will remove a lot of senescent cells. A lot of those cells that are what's called CTCs, circulating tumor cells or precancerous cells, those are the first things the immune system is going to go after when it needs amino acids. Because those have surface cell markers that actually attract the immune system. The immune system says, this is the cell that I need to break apart and turn into energy, into amino acids.
Well,
I'm certainly
thank you
not saying
so
it's going
much.
to cure her condition, but that's certainly what I would do if I was.
Would love to meet you in Dubai and tell you that she was healed. So thank you
you
once
so much,
again.
Gary.
I would
Thank
love
you,
that
everyone.
too. Great, guys. Michael Scarpati, if you're still hanging around, could you raise your hand and you can jump on? Hi there. Shannon. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, hi Gary. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I love hearing all the Florida people. I'm in Sarasota, Florida, so
Okay.
nearby. But yes, my question is around secondary infertility. I
Mhm.
had my son almost 5 years ago, and we started trying probably a year after. So it's been almost 4 years trying for a second and nothing. Before that, just for context, I did experience a lot of anxiety for a few years. That was kind of not out of nowhere. It was definitely triggered by an event, but didn't have to stay around for so long. And then I got off, like I did a diet and did all these things, got off alcohol, caffeine, etc. And then got pregnant naturally, wasn't even trying the first time. So yeah, it's been interesting since then. I do know I have PCOS. I've experienced acne for the past almost 15 years. I have eczema since I was a child. I now gain a lot of weight quicker. I have
Mhm.
low testosterone, and again, anxiety is kind of like always in the background.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to see what kind of baseline supplements you would recommend or any blood
Mhm.
testing to kind of get to the root of it, because I've gone through a lot of like IUIs, just natural things, or not natural things, but like medicated things that have not worked and have only made me more anxious, which has made me
Mhm.
pulled away from it. I was recently on metformin as well.
Mhm.
Got off of it because just wasn't doing anything. So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So I would swap out the metformin for berberine, which is a root. I would absolutely start. I would, again, bet my career that you have the MTHFR gene mutation. Be very surprised if you are not positive for MTHFR. So if you haven't done that test yet, that's an absolute must. Have you done it?
No, I'm actually going to do it next week, but I'm only doing one. I know there's like 5 of them that you test.
There's 2 suballeles that you want to test for. You can write these down if you want, or this is recorded. You can go back and watch it. So MTHFR, you want to look for C677T. That's linked to anxiety. And A1298C, which is linked to anxiousness. The combination of the 2 is linked to infertility. Because infertility, there's a lot of reasons for infertility. I mean, it can do with egg production, it can do with, fallopian tube obstruction, all kinds of things. But one of the main drivers of infertility is not the inability for a sperm to fertilize an egg. It's an inability for an egg to implant into the uterine wall. This process is called adhesion. For the uterine wall to be prepared to receive an egg, and for that chemical reaction to occur and to have adhesion occur. This is what starts a very healthy pregnancy. And this complicated biophysiologic process is regulated by a number of methylation pathways. Women that have MTHFR have about a 7-time higher rate of infertility and 9-time higher rate of miscarriage. But you can mitigate that entire risk factor by taking methylated vitamins, methylated nutrients. So 3 things I would do. I would do the genetic test. I would find out what you're deficient in. I would certainly be getting all of the folic acid out of your diet. So anything that is fortified or enriched, flours, wheats, crackers, pasta. If it's fortified or enriched, which means it contains folic acid, I would actually get that out of your diet. Very easy to switch to the organic versions of those things, right? You can still have rice, just to get the organic version. You can still have crackers, just get non-fortified, non-enriched crackers. And please, for the love of God, do not take a folic acid supplement to get pregnant. It will have the opposite effect. Your OBGYN and your fertility doctor is going to tell you to take high doses of folic acid. Folic acid is not what prevents a neural tube defect. It also doesn't affect fertility implantation or adhesion. What does is methylfolate. It is the methylated version of that nutrient. Folic acid is useless if you can't convert it. So don't assume you can convert it. Take the converted form, which is called methylfolate. My OBGYN, that is my clinic director, Dr. Carrie Sarda, who I'd be happy to get you an appointment with at no charge, at least a consult, is a board-certified OBGYN. She's delivered 9,000 babies. She will tell you that the greatest cause of postpartum depression which begins during pregnancy, is women being told to take high doses of folic acid. So I would get the gene test. I would begin supplementing for deficiency. I would take a methylated multivitamin. I would probably take extra methylfolate, and I would get all of the folic acid out of your diet, and you will really start preparing your uterus for healthy cell wall adhesion.
Amazing. Thank you so much. If you could put me in contact with the OBGYN doctor, that would be fantastic.
Yes, I'll put you in touch with Julie Sarda. It's her sister, but also her assistant. Okay. Oh, she just put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Amazing.
it. Nice
Enjoyed talking to you. Okay, I know we got at least one more. Michael, did we find him? There you are. Hey, Michael. I think you're muted, brother. Bottom left-hand side.
It said unmute. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
First of all, hello, everybody. I'll be quick. I've been chasing you for about 2 years now. Since the Dana White. No, I went to 10X in Aventura. I signed up. I got on the plan. The kid wasn't that knowledgeable when I was asking questions. Like, maybe I'll run into you over there because I work right there in Hallandale. Never ran into you. I got on whatever you said 38 Terra. I'm doing that too. Your boy's company. I'm dropping
H2
hydrogen tablets like all day. My question is this: I just need a guide. Because I'm on a bunch of stuff, but I don't know exactly. And I have my test. I carry my test in my car in case I run into you. The 10X test. It's awesome. All there. And I don't have time to go over it in front of everybody, and I don't want to bother everybody. But my question is, is there any way I can meet with you or a doctor that you recommend so I can get on a plan? Secondly, I have sleep apnea. You keep saying you cured Dana White's sleep apnea. How?
And Stephen A. Smith's sleep apnea.
I don't know. I can't figure out how, because unless you go with Inspire, which I didn't have the 30 grand back when they came out to do it. So sleep apnea, and then how can I get on a Gary Brecka plan where I know exactly what I'm doing?
Okay. So what I'm going to do, can we contact him directly? Yeah. Okay. So
I emailed Morgan. She's on your team. I emailed her my results. I sent her that last meeting. She hasn't replied. I know you guys are busy, but I sent her an email.
She's right here right now and listening. So and she just acknowledged she's got your email. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect you with a good functional medicine doctor who's not going to charge you for their time, just for peptides or whatever they put you on, right here in Southern Florida, and have that I trust, that we can have your labs reviewed, and we can get you on a protocol. Would be a very similar protocol to having me do it for you. And it's certainly, you're a young, healthy, happy dude. It's not worth paying a consult to have me do it. I will get somebody that I've co-trained to get you on the right protocol and make the right peptide recommendations and everything else. And they are also familiar with a sleep apnea protocol, which has a lot to do with just reducing inflammation, elevating the head at night, reducing inflammation, shrinking the adenoids, widening the airway without surgical intervention. It's what I did for Stephen A. It's what we did for Dana, getting the homocysteine levels down. That helps to clear the airways. So there's a process to just helping you have less inflammation and congestion, which is usually causing the sleep apnea. There's obstructive sleep apnea, which very often is anatomical, and sometimes you can't do much about that, but other than CPAP machine. But I've had a very, very high rate of success with sleep apnea. In fact, we should do a whole module on sleep apnea. That would be a great one. There's so many people with that.
Please do, because there's so many of us that suffer from it. It's like I tell my wife, there's no way we can get divorced because, anybody I go to date, not that I will, but if I ever went on a date with a younger woman, be like, you look like a vampire when you go to bed. I got a machine, I got a chin strap. No. My wife
probably sound like sleeping next to a locomotive too. That's what they usually complain about.
I got carpal tunnel. I got to wear brace. No. I look like Batman, like a decrepit Batman. That's what I look like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to fix you up, brother. I promise you. You took it. You made a bet on me to become a VIP. I will make sure that you get the care you deserve.
All right. Tell Morgan all the way her email. She has my results, my lab results, my blood results, and my 10X results. I sent her everything.
She's going to make an introduction for you, and I'm going to get you taken care of.
Appreciate it, my brother. Everybody, good luck with your journey, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know if you guys remember, a lot of you, and she may even be on this call. And again, I'm only disclosing what was disclosed on our last call, but there was a very unfortunate lady that got on the call last week from Europe and talked about how she lost the ability to walk after having a failed spinal injection. It turns out that she spent her fortune, the last money that she had, on a stem cell therapy to try to help her, and it actually made her worse. It triggered autoimmune. It crashed her entire system, and now she's financially destitute and also in a position where she couldn't walk. If you were on the call last month, you remember this. I wanted to let you guys know that we are getting her care taken care of here in the United States. We are arranging to financially support her and bring her from Europe to the U.S. I have one of the top stem cell doctors in the world that's agreed to take her case pro bono. And we're even providing some of the biologic therapies for her, stem cells, exosomes, and corrective therapies. And all I've asked her to do is just share her story in a few months when she's back on her feet, about how she was able to heal and walk again. That one hit my heart especially hard. And so I connected with her outside of this, connected her with Dr. Gonzalez and a great medical team, convinced them all to support getting her from Europe over here to the U.S. And I'm excited to watch her progress. It just broke my heart that somebody that was in that condition exhausted their fortune to try to heal themselves and got really bad advice and found themselves in a place where they were worse off and now, financially destitute. So, I won't say her name, but if she's on here, she can raise her hand. If not, we'll follow this story. But okay, I love you guys. Let's get wait. Oh yeah, you just scrolled through a bunch of screens there. So that's a wrap for today's call, guys. This is my favorite thing. I love doing these calls. I love hearing your stories. I love hearing people that had an autoimmune condition get on the line with you and tell you that 10 or 12 weeks later that immune condition is in remission. So even though that's a wrap today for today, I just want to thank you all so much for being here and just asking amazing questions. It's always an honor to connect with this community. Remember that being a VIP means you have early access to new content. You have early access to these monthly calls, our quarterly challenges. The full protocols are in there, guys. Download those. I really intentionally put those together for a reason. They're meant to be guides. I could charge for them. They're free for you guys. You do get exclusive VIP discounts. I hope you all signed up for your free coffee. I'm about to launch the first mold-free certified USDA organic, certified acrylamide-free coffee in the world. And all of you are getting a free bag of it just for telling me what your initial reaction was to it. Our 10-month course you get for free, all of our giveaways and support from me and the team. You're really a part of a powerful community that's committed to optimizing our health. I see that you guys are also starting to help each other, and I love that. And this is how we're going to make a change in the world. You know, right before this, I got off the MAHA call, and I spoke on the MAHA Action Committee call. I'm deeply committed to Bobby Kennedy's agenda of cleaning up our food supply, of getting the corruption out of our nutritional research, and getting physical education back into the public school system. I'm deeply, deeply committed to that. I got off of that. It was kind of funny because Russell Brand was on the call, and he got on the call with all these politicians and congressmen and all these big influencers in the space, and he was actually in his bathtub. I've never done a Zoom call from a bathtub, but somehow Russell Brand pulled it off. But this is a powerful, powerful community, and I'm deeply committed to this community. You know, I cannot make the kind of change in this world that I want to make on my own, but I know that I can make it with all of you. So thank you for giving me $97 of your money every single month. It has not gone lost on me that is not inexpensive, and I know that that's a commitment. I hope that you're getting the most out of the VIP community, using the resources, watching the course on becoming the ultimate human. We're on module 7 now. Module 4 is in the community. So keep taking what you're learning here and applying it and putting it into practice. You should be inspired by some of these stories that you hear. You know, people that you actually see come live onto these calls that solve really complicated